Hey, today we're going to talk about a couple of things, and we're going to, try to mash them um, kind of all together. One of the things that we're going to talk about is marriage, like when, should you marriage, being obedient to God's calling, and then like um, talking about like God's promises and just things like that, like His ordained promises, His ordained marriages that He has for you, and just like the covenant in that, and we're going to try to get this in you know maybe 2 to 3 videos. So just bear with me. I hope you would enjoy. But so um, not too long ago, I was watching a video on marriage. It was talking about like when is it the right time for marriage? How long do you date? And the pastor really of this video that I was watching is um kind of said, like, because a lot of us we grow up hearing that it takes time. We need to go through the friendship stage, then the dating stage, and you know um before we get to marriage, and like we should, you know and I'm not even trying to say that that's mostly wisdom, but here, um, there's 3 things that we can, look at to, know whether or not um, marriage, we can move forward in marriage, instead of, unnecessarily, you know, postponing, because if God, one of the things that I have learned in my walk is when God says it's time, and we're going to talk about that. But um, 3 things to biblically to know, you know, whether the marriage, you know whether or not it's right to move forward. And first and foremost, looking at Colossians 3:17, what does that tell us? Do everything, and that includes marriage, um for the Lord, like it needs to be, you know and then so you can look at that and go, does you and the person that you're dating, or the person that you're talking to, um do they have faith? uh do you share biblical faith? Corinthians 7 verse 39. You can go to, and I'm not gonna, for time's sake, I'm not gonna go to each one of these and read it, so you can, um, if you're taking notes, I encourage you to write these scriptures down and go to them later. So you can go to Colossians 3:17, and then do you share faith? Corinthians uh, 7 verse 39. And then do you both share the biblical spiritual fruits? Galatians 5:22 through 23. And then do you both have, the clarity of what role, you are supposed to play, like in Ephesians 5:25 and Ephesians 5:33. It tells us a biblical role for both male and female in that marriage, and what. it's supposed to look like there. And so those are just three things that you can look at. And I'm going to add, a few other things. And one of the things that I have, or two things that I have written down, actually, there's there's probably more than two. So, but one of the things that I was thinking about is, because what that video that I was watching was talking about, are you spiritually aligned? Are you spiritually aligned? Um, and so a couple of things that I wrote down is clarity plus readiness. Clarity plus readiness equals move forward. Go ahead, move forward with that. Um, and then another thing that I was actually gonna open um, with this video, and I forgot. But the other thing that I have written down is marriage is a promise by God. It's a promise. So God often gives us promises. He gives us promises, and He's a God that keeps His promise. And so, what does that look like? And you can, say this for just about any promise. Um, when God, including marriage, because marriage is a promise, when it is ordained, and when God says that it is time, I would suggest you listen to that. Now, it is said that we test the spirits, right? Well, if you're wondering, like if you're in the meeting stage, you're talking to each other, you're getting to know each other, you're not quite dating yet, you're not, really friends yet either. Or if you're in the friend stage or dating stage, and the Lord is saying, yeah, go ahead and, start dating, let's, because I will tell you one thing that I have noticed is we got to discern the times that we are in right now. And I will say, I have noticed that we are in the time where God is on the move. He is on the move. He is moving. And so we got to learn how to discern that. But, and so what I'm saying is, even through marriage, God is wanting to bring these ordained marriages together, and one of the things that you can do to test what I'm saying is, like if you are getting an urge by the Holy Spirit, you can test that by these three things that I just, gave you, um, to test to see, is it really God? Is it really the Holy Spirit that is, urging you to, date this person? Like, you know, if you're in the getting to know each other stage and the Holy Spirit is saying, I want you to move forward and start dating, or I want you to move forward and, you know, get engaged or get the marriage papers ready or whatever it may be. I know it sounds um, like it's wouldn't be biblical, and I know it. In part two, I'm gonna, you know, part two to this, I'm gonna explain why it is, biblical. Um, but I know it sounds like it's not traditional to do these things, because you're like, well, that seems a little fast, but join me for part two